Good morning, everyone. It's our time for our Wednesday devotion. I was thinking last night about the requirements that God requires from us, and I thought about two things. One is that for salvation, He requires us to turn our heart over to Him, to believe in His Son, Jesus Christ. We see that in John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. We also see in Romans 10:9 and 10, He tells us that if we believe with our heart and confess with our mouth, then we shall be saved. So for salvation, it's one thing what God requires. He requires our belief in His Son, Jesus Christ, and He also requires us to publicly let people know that. But then He also requires us something else, and that is after we become believers and we are children of God, the book of Micah tells us what He requires then. It's in Micah 6, verse 8, and it says this: God has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. So He tells us three things as children of God, what we ought to be doing, what He requires of us as children of God. The first one is to do justly, to live our lives in a righteous manner, that in anything we say, anything we do, any deed we do, any action we take, any comments we make, anything we write to other people, say to other people, say publicly, anything at all should be in a righteous manner. In other words, it should be done to the fact that people will look to us and see that we are an honest person, and that there is no dishonesty found within us, that we are holy. The second thing He requires us is to love mercy. And what He means there is that our lifestyle should be that of kindness. And whatever actions and deeds we do to people or do to other people in society should come from kindness. So when people see kindness in us, they see Jesus in us. And that God requires that. He wants us to be more like His Son each and every day. And then the last thing He says is to walk humbly with our God. He also, in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. Let me turn there and read that, because He calls us to be humble. And to be humble means to do what God would do in His case, or in the same situation. And here's what He says: And now, Israel, what does the Lord require of you but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all His ways, and to love Him, and to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and to keep the commandments of the Lord and His statutes, which I command you this day for your good. So what He's telling us there is that in order for us to be humble, we need to follow the commandments and the statutes and the ordinances of God. He lays all that out in the Bible. And to make it very simple, Jesus said it in one thing: to love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So if we love God first and most of all, and then we love one another as God has loved them, and how we want to be loved and how we want to be treated, by doing those three things, doing justly, being merciful, and walking humbly for God, we can become better children of God. And that's what He requires of us: to be honest and righteous, to be kind to anyone and everyone, whether it's in speech or written word, and last, to be humble before God. In other words, to do the things that God has called us to do. I hope you have